Salam alaikum. Si vous pouvez vous rapprocher, s'il vous plaît, vous enlevez des murs. S'il vous plaît, vous rapprochez ici, Inch'Allah. Surtout les jeunes, surtout les enfants. Les gars en arrière, the guys in the back, if you guys can get off the walls, come closer. Inshallah, I don't feel like screaming today at you guys. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alright, salam alaikum guys. Salam alaikum les gars. Pour commencer, est-ce que quelqu'un peut me dire c'est quoi une touche de contrôle au foot? Une touche de contrôle au foot, c'est quoi? C'est quand tu reçois la balle et tu la contrôles, right? Tu reçois une passe, tu l'arrêtes et ça reste près de vous autres, ouais? Au basketball, the guys who play basketball, when you're controlling the ball, that's having, you know, good dribbles, right? You keep it near you. The ball doesn't go flying in corners, right? When you play hockey, the puck doesn't go flying in corners, right? You keep it near you, you have control over the puck. Donc quand vous faites un sport, quand vous faites n'importe quoi dans la vie, c'est important d'avoir du contrôle, right? Si vous jouez au soccer, si vous jouez au foot, est-ce que vous voulez avoir le gars sur votre équipe qui ne sait pas comment contrôler la balle? Non, right? Parce qu'il va la botter dans le coin. Il va la botter de l'autre côté, il ne va rien faire avec. J'ai raison? Vous êtes d'accord? Alhamdulillah. Donc la vie est pareille. La vie, elle est pareille. Il faut avoir contrôle de tous les aspects qu'on peut contrôler dans notre vie. Il faut avoir contrôle sur tout ce qu'on peut contrôler. Certes, il y a des affaires qu'on ne peut pas contrôler, il y a des affaires qui sont hors de notre contrôle, qui sont dans le contrôle de Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mais tout ce qu'on peut contrôler, on devrait essayer de contrôler en suivant la Coran et le Sunnah. Ouais? Et ça commence avec les émotions. All this starts with your emotions. It starts with your anger, right? It starts with your anger. It starts with not lashing out. It starts with not screaming at others, not punching others, not doing so and so to others, right? Who here considers themselves a man? Why is nobody raising their hands? Yeah? There's two guys in this whole Halaqa who consider themselves men. Everybody's hand should be up. Every single person here, your hand should be up. Unless you're young. But every single person here, your hand should be up. Right? Est-ce que vous êtes des hommes? Ouais, vous êtes des hommes? Who here considers themselves somebody who is strong? Yeah? You're somebody strong. You could take down most guys who come fight you. Ouais, vous pouvez battre la plupart des gars qui viennent vous frapper. Vous pouvez les mettre à terre. Vous êtes un bon wrestler. Bon jujitsu. You could put someone in a choke and make them tap, make them submit. You guys are strong, right? Vous êtes forts? Ouais? Tu vas au gym, tu lèves des poids. On se pense, ok, ouais, moi je suis tout ça. I'm all this, I'm that guy, right? I can lift weights. See, you guys are smiling because you know it reflects who you are, right? I see you guys smiling. You guys know that this reflects who you are at times. This is a character that you have, right? You can throw hands, you can do this, you can do that. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that a man is not someone who can knock someone else to the ground, but a man is someone who, when a calamity comes onto him, he controls his anger. Donc un homme, c'est pas quelqu'un qui peut mettre à terre l'autre. C'est pas quelqu'un qui est le plus fort physiquement, lui avec des gros muscles, lui qui lève le plus de poids au gym. Mais c'est lui que quand quelque chose de mal arrive envers lui, il est capable de contrôler sa colère. Contrôler sa colère. C'est pas quelqu'un qui va commencer à crier. C'est pas quelqu'un, it's not somebody who's going to lash out. Right? And in another narration, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that the one who is strong is not the one who can take down the other, it's not the one who can wrestle the other, but it's the one who can control his anger. It's the one who can control his anger. So when you are angry, right, quand tu te fâches, when you're angry, whether it be at home, your sister took your food, your parents grounded you, they took your phone away, they don't want you playing Fortnite till 2 a.m. Whatever it may be, don't get mad. Control yourself. Control yourself. Control yourself wherever you go, right? At school, you get a bad mark. Don't sit there and yell, ah, man. Don't sit there and yell. Don't do whatever. Don't swear. Don't do this. Don't do that. You're playing sports. You're playing sports, everybody gets riled up, right? You get competitive. You're like, ah, I want to win. Ah, moi je suis fort, je veux marquer un but. Ah, il m'a fait un tacle qui était dangereux. Ah, il a eu ma jambe. Ah, il est nul. Fâchez-vous pas. Fâchez-vous jamais. Jamais, 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 peu importe ce qui se passe. Biologically, scientifically proven, when you get angry, the process of thinking, the process of reasoning gets delayed by 10 seconds. Alright, so when you get angry, the process of you thinking rationally, not just, your first reaction, of thinking rationally gets delayed by 10 seconds. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. But most acts of anger are done within those first 10 seconds. Right? Most times when you get angry, most times when you lash out, it's not lashing out after 30 seconds after something happened. Right? You lash out right away. Road rage. Pour ceux qui conduisent. Il y a beaucoup de jeunes, vous autres vous ne connaissez pas encore, mais sur vos vélos. Si quelqu'un vous coupe, if you're driving and somebody cuts you off, what's the first thing you're going to do? Right away, you're like, this guy, whatever. You start screaming at him, you try to cut him off, he tries to cut you off, whatever it may be. All that happens within the first 10 seconds, right? Dès que tu te fâches, c'est ça qui arrive. Parce que tu n'as pas de contrôle sur toi. Mais si tu te contrôles toi-même, ça prend juste 10 secondes. Ça prend juste 10 secondes avant que tu penses à ce que tu vas faire. Avant que tu puisses penser comme du monde à ta réaction. You're not blinded by fear. You're not blinded by anger. You're not blinded by whatever emotion it may be that you have. Just take 10 seconds. Just take 10 seconds. And it's not easy. It's not easy when somebody wrongs you. You want to lash out right away, right? You want to get mad at him right away. You want to scream at him right away, yeah? It's not easy. But as a man, as somebody who is strong, that's something that you have to do. It's something that every single one of us has to do, not just at home, not just at school, but also at the mosque, also when we're outside, also when we're with friends. Do you guys know who the lion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is? Hamza. Now, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. He was one of the most feared soldiers of the Muslim army. When he converted to Islam, the Quraysh, word spread amongst them and they got scared. They were like, oh man, Hamza converted. Hamza became a Muslim. They respected him. He was the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But what made this man a man of such high status wasn't just that, he was so strong. Wasn't just that he was, so tough. But it was his manners, it was his adab, it was the respect that he had and the respect that he commanded that made him somebody with such a high rank. Khalid ibn al-Walid. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. Are these guys who let their emotions cloud their judgment? These are guys you want to be like, right? These are guys you want to be like. You want to be like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Did any of these guys let their anger get in front of them? Any of them? Did any of them let their anger get in front of them? No, right? Not one. Not one of them let their anger get the best of them. They controlled themselves, they remained patient. And that's the character that every single one of us should have. Every single one of us should have this character. We shouldn't have the character of Momo 54. On ne devrait pas être comme Momo 54. On ne devrait pas être un racaille, pas un gangster, pas un thug des rues. Tu ne veux pas être comme Sean O'Malley, tu ne veux pas être un UFC fighter, peu importe qui. Tu ne veux pas être comme ces gars-là. Tu veux être comme les Sahaba. Tu veux être comme les gars les plus forts, les musulmans les plus forts. Eux qui ont gagné guerre après guerre après guerre, même s'ils étaient beaucoup moins. You want to hear about somebody who's tough, right? You want to hear about somebody who's really tough? There's a story of a story of Sahabas in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were traveling to go to war. They were traveling like in the midst of a war. They had this travel to do. And as they were traveling, nighttime came. La nuit est arrivée. Et le Prophète Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, il a dit, ok, maintenant c'est la nuit, on va se coucher, mais on a besoin que certaines personnes, on a besoin que quelqu'un reste réveillé pour se mettre en garde, pour protéger au cas où que les ennemis ils viennent durant la nuit puis ils veulent nous attaquer pendant qu'on dort. On a besoin que quelqu'un reste réveillé. Il y avait deux volontaires, two volunteers who stepped up and said, I will be one of the people who stays awake today. I'll watch guard. One of them was a muhajirun, somebody who did the hijrah. He was I guess an immigrant you could call it. And the other was an ansar. He was a helper, one of the people from Medina. Their names were Ammar ibn Yasir, that was a muhajirun, and the ansar was Abad ibn Bishr. So after the Sahabas and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they went to sleep. Ammar, he tells Abad, he says to him, one of us should go to sleep. I'll do half the night, you do the other half. So one of us will do the first half of the night, the other does the second half of the night. Because it's not realistic to stay awake for a whole night, right? You're going to split that up into halves. So he asked Abad, which one do you want to do? And Abad radiallahu anhu, he said, I will do the first half and you do the second half. So then Ammar ibn Yasir, he went to sleep. And Abad ibn Bishr, he was alone. At night, everybody was asleep. When we're alone in our rooms, when we're alone wherever it may be, a lot of us, you see it as an opportunity, right? Nobody's watching me. Now is when I could do some haram in peace. Now is when I could watch this video, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching at all times. But the Sahaba, they were not like this. When they're alone, they saw it as a chance to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Abad ibn Bishr, he started praying. He started reading Quran. As he was praying, a pagan walked by. Un gars s'est promené, il l'a vu. And he saw the army of the Muslims. He saw them all sleeping. And this guy, this pagan, one of his family members was harmed in a little skirmish with the Muslims. A small battle, one of his family members was harmed. So this pagan, he had vowed, I'm not going to go home until I spill the blood of another Muslim. Until I make another Muslim bleed. He wasn't a Muslim, this pagan wasn't Muslim. But he said, until I make a Muslim bleed, I'm not going home. And he saw, they're all sleeping, this one guy's awake. So he perched himself, took out his bow and arrow, and he took his first bow out, and he took aim, and he shot him. He shot towards him. And it hit him, it hit Abad ibn Bishr on his body, as he was praying. What the Sahaba did, he kept praying, he pulled it out, put it on the ground, and he kept praying. The pagan, he saw this, he was like, what did I hit? This guy didn't even move. That guy thought he hit a rock or something. Like, that's how tough he was. Got hit by an arrow, he didn't even move. Kept doing his prayer. So he said, what is this? Let me shoot him again. Takes another arrow, aims, and fires. And again, he hits him. And Abad ibn Bishr, Stands there, again, hits him, pulls it out, puts it on the ground. Keeps praying. And now the pagan, he's wondering, he's like, whoa, what's happening? This guy Superman or something? He's getting hit by arrows, he's not even moving, he's staying, he's doing his thing. Takes a third one. He takes a third one, he aims and he fires. And again it hits him. This time Ubadah ibn Bishr, it hits him, and he pulls it out and he puts it on the ground, but he feels his life leaving him. So he goes into ruku, he goes into sujood, ends his prayer. And he crawls back to the tent where the other companion who said he would stay up, who was not, it wasn't his shift, he crawls to his tent and he wakes him up. And he says, it's your turn to go watch. And this companion, he sees him bleeding. He says, Ya Abad, why didn't you wake me up before? Why didn't you wake me up after the first arrow? Why didn't you wake me up when you first got hit? That's why I volunteered to stay up, in case this exact event happened. The Sahaba, Ubadah ibn Bishr, what he said is, I was reciting a surah and I didn't want to interrupt it. So I kept praying. And then he passed away. So us over here, whatever, 50, 60, 80, however many guys we are here right now, we think we're tough, yeah? We think we're tough. How many of us, somebody walks by? Somebody walks by us in prayer, our eyes go like that, you follow them. If that distracts you, then imagine how we would survive in the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Not one of us would survive. Not one of us. We're not built like that. The Sahaba were built like that. But for some reason, we think we're so tough. We think we're so strong. When every single time our emotions get the best of us. Think about if you got punched. Think about if somebody tried to fight you. Yeah? Somebody tries to punch you. What's your initial reaction going to be? I got to punch him back. Right? That's your initial reaction. That's the wrong reaction. That's the wrong reaction, bro. The Sahaba, he got an arrow in the chest. An arrow right here. 3 of them. Did he ever even contemplate going to harm the guy who shot him? He kept praying. He kept praying. But us, somebody said something to me, I gotta go beat him up. Somebody said something to me, I gotta go beat him up. This guy disrespected me, I gotta tackle him. This guy did this, I gotta do this. Being strong is not about physical strength. It's about having control over everything in your life. Everything you can control. And that starts by controlling your nafs. Right? Controlling your desires. Controlling your emotions. Controlling how you react facing certain situations. Controlling what you do when you're sitting in a halaqa. Controlling what you do when you're playing sports. Controlling what you do when you're at school. Right? And unfortunately, what happens in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the mosque on Friday nights is the opposite of control. It's the opposite of control. Control doesn't start from the guy who punched someone. It doesn't start from the first fist. It starts from the first words that were spoken. Les batailles, les fights qui arrivent ici et là dans la mosquée, ça commence pas avec le premier coup de poing qui est jeté. Ça commence jamais avec le premier coup de poing. Ça commence tout le temps avec la première parole. Quelqu'un qui s'est cru tout ça, puis a commencé à insulter l'autre, et l'autre il n'a pas aimé ça, puis après ça grandit, ça devient pire. Mais c'est pas l'islam. C'est pas l'islam. C'est pas le caractère des sahaba. C'est pas le caractère des prophètes. C'est pas le caractère du prophète Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, et c'est pas le caractère que l'islam a appris. One thing that we've seen over here week after week after week, and this thing is something that has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed when all you guys are sitting here and listening, is people who bully others, people who insult others in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people who instigate others in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People who will see a brother who has a problem, and they'll go to him and they'll say, you're autistic. They'll go to him and say, you're retarded. They'll go to him and say, you're fat, you're this, you're that. There's no place for this in Islam. There's no place for this in the mosque. There's no place for this in your character, in your manners. When you play basketball, you start trash talking. You think that's Islamic? Do you think that is Islamic? When you're playing soccer and you start trash talking the other guys, you start calling them trash, you start swearing at them, do you think that is Islamic? No, right? Not one of us thinks that, right? Can we agree on that? Yes? Yes? Nobody's forcing you to come here. We're not forcing you to come here on Friday nights. And the older guys here, we're not your teachers, we're not your babysitters, we're not your parents. But when you come here, there should be a minimum amount of respect that you have for the other brothers that are sitting next to you. For the other brothers that are sitting to your left and to your right. And I know right now you guys are seated with your boys, right? You guys are surrounded kind of with your friends. The guy to your left is somebody you know pretty well. The guy you chill with at the mosque. The guy to your right, same thing. On average, there's about 90 guys who come to the Halaqa every single week. Can you even name 10 of their names? The whole purpose of the Halaqa is brotherhood. But all you guys are doing is fighting each other, trash talking each other, causing enmities between each other. And this has no place in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has no place in Islam. It has no place being in any of our personalities. It has no place at all. So over here, on Friday nights, there's been way too many fights in the gym. And I'm not talking about the little 2 minutes that some guys do. I'm talking about two guys who got angry with each other and started fighting each other for real. There's been way too many of those. There's been way too many arguments. Just 2 weeks ago, not one of you guys had food because of all that. Right? Or was that 3 weeks ago? Either way, 2 or 3 weeks ago, not one of you had food because of all that. Because of the lack of respect. So from now on, there's going to be no tolerance for you see anybody bullying, you see anybody intimidating, you see anybody fighting, c'est zéro tolérance. There's no place for that in the mosque. And it's as simple as that. There's no place for that over here. You're not coming here to do that. We're not coming here to do that. So if you're here to cause problems, if that's why you come, then respectfully, the door is there. Respectfully, the door is there. If ever you see someone doing something, if ever you see someone doing harm, if ever you see someone doing something, do you think it's the right thing to do? To go join a circle, start yelling, fight, 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 fight? Do you think it's the right thing to do? To go to guys and tell them, hey buddy, this guy wants to fight you. Ce gars-là veut te battre. Ce gars-là veut te battre. Il veut te battre. Tu vas le laisser dire ça. Tu vas faire ça. You might not be the one who's throwing punches. You might not be the one who's insulting, but you're equally responsible. And we might not The older guys might not see every single thing you say, might not catch every single word you say, and you might get away with it over here. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sees everything. And on the day of judgment, you will be responsible for those actions. You will be responsible for everything you have said and done. So control yourself. Have a minimum amount of control. We're all gonna go soon to the gym, right? We're all gonna go play sports like we do every week. Today, I want you guys to make it a point. Make it a point to control yourselves. Make it a point not to trash talk. Make it a point not to complain. And every week it's complaints. It's no, I don't want this guy on my team. Why is the ball so bad? Why is the net crooked? Why is the table not perfectly straight? Guys, make it a point to control what you say, what you do, how you react, and how you feel. Just 10 seconds. 10 seconds. It's nothing. We counted 10 seconds before. You guys probably forgot I even did that. Just make it a point to control yourselves. Make it a point to control yourselves. Right? Be respectful. Have good manners. Have a good character. Try to be as much like the Sahaba as you can. Try to be as much of a good example to others as you can. Because even if your friends are doing harm, you don't need to join in. And if you speak against that harm, then over time they will become more like you. Instead of you becoming more like them if you give in to what they're doing. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the strength to be strong in controlling ourselves, controlling our desires, controlling our urges, controlling our emotions. رب اجعلني مقيم صلاتي ومن ذريتي ربنا تقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, now we're going to go to the gym. Just make sure you have dry shoes and don't bring snow into the gym. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, guys.